concerning the ISS, the space tourists on the ISS are going through a horrible time. The ISS had to swerve to avoid Russian debris after being trapped on the ISS for days because of bad weather in Florida. Troubles continue to plague the first all-private crew to visit the International Space Station, the ISS, as the orbiting lab was forced to perform an emergency maneuver to swerve and avoid the Russian satellite debris. The hazardous debris field was generated when Russia conducted its first field test of an A-235 Nudol anti-satellite ASAT missile on its inactive Cosmos 1408 electronic signal intelligence satellite. That was in November 15 of last year. The craft exploded into at least 1,500 pieces of debris that can be tracked by global-based radar, although it's possible there are hundreds of thousands more. The shrapnel is presently maintaining orbit between 190 and 680 miles above the Earth's surface. You can see that's a 500-mile distance. In the immediate aftermath of the explosion, the crew of the ISS were forced to take shelter in their escape capsules for the orbiting laboratory's first few passes of the debris cloud. In response, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said, "The long-lived debris created by this dangerous and irresponsible test will now threaten satellites and other space objects that are vital to all nations' security, economy, and scientific interests for decades to come." So somebody obviously has to go up there and clean this debris. Anyway, the U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price said Russia's dangerous and irresponsible behavior jeopardizes long-term sustainability of outer space. He said that the incident clearly demonstrates that Russia's claims of opposing the weaponization of space are disingenuous and hypocritical. The debris, which is expected to remain in orbit for years, if not decades, continues to interfere with planned ISS operations. 2 weeks after the weapons test, NASA was forced to delay a planned spacewalk amid concerns, of course, that the astronauts might be at risk exposed outside the station's shell. The latest maneuver to avoid this debris saw the engines of the docked Progress MS-18 transporter fired for around 10 minutes on Saturday as to raise the ISS orbital altitude by around 1.1 miles, bringing it up to 257 miles above the Earth's surface. And according to CBS Space News reporter William Harwood, the so-called reboot maneuver planned on Friday also had a purpose beyond avoiding a possible close encounter or, of course, collision with the debris, with a piece of debris from Cosmos 1408. This, he said, was to improve downstream trajectory planning. And fortunately, the emergency swerving did not further delay Axiom's space private AX-1 mission departure from the ISS in a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule. Their return to Earth was put on hold for a number of days due to bad weather on the Florida coast. The four-person mission included former NASA astronaut Michael Lopez Aligera, along with 3 paying customers: U.S. real estate entrepreneur Larry Connor, Canadian businessman Mark Pathy, and Israeli philanthropist and former fighter pilot Eitan Stibe. The latest in the fallout from Russia's ill-advised anti-satellite weapon test comes as researchers from University of Edinburgh called for the space's fragile environment to be given the same kind of special legal protection afforded to Earth's land, atmosphere, and seas. And I agree with that. The team who published their recommendations in the journal Nature Astronomy pointed not only to the risk from space debris, but also to the increasing congestion of Earth's orbit by so-called satellite mega constellations like Elon Musk's Starlink satellites. Not only does this make low Earth orbit an inherently more dangerous place, the researchers warned, but the satellites are also adding to light pollution, which both spoils the appearance of the night sky and interferes with astronomical observations of the universe. The team called for policymakers around the world to work together to create a shared, ethical, and sustainable approach to space. Astronomy professor Andy Lawrence of University of Edinburgh said, "We are standing On a watershed in history, we can cheaply launch huge numbers of satellites and use them to the benefit of life on Earth, but this comes at a cost. He said, as well as damaging stargazing, the space industry may be shooting itself in the foot. His colleagues, Professor Maury Bajaj, aerospace engineer, University of Texas at Austin, said, "We believe that all things are interconnected and that we must embrace stewardship as if our lives depended on it. Traditional ecological knowledge holds the key to solving the wicked problems. The largest challenge," he said, "we have is to recruiting empathy and compassion towards solving these environmental crises. If we can find innovative ways to enable the general public to project themselves into the dire condition and feel concern and address it, the Earth and all of the lives she sustains wins." And I agree with that as well. This is by Ian Randall on Express UK. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.